Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world-class. I'm Brian Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And today we are going to be discussing Universal's Horror Unleashed. It's the brand new year-round Halloween, I guess, event, you could call it, or scare event.
Experience.
It's a scare event experience that is year-round. Basically, it's Halloween Horror Nights year-round inside of the Area 15 space, which is basically just like a giant warehouse in Las Vegas. Pretty massive.
Huge. Yeah, this is like an expansion, too. This is like what I think they call Zone 2 of Area 15.
Area 15 just in general, by the way. I know we're not here to review, I guess, Area 15 at large, but it has a bunch of other things inside of it that is also... that are also very fun. Like we went to Omega Mart,
right.
Which was really fun. And then they have a couple other experiences inside there, like the John Wick experience, which I have no idea.
I did see it.
What the hell that is. Yeah, did you look into it at all?
I haven't looked into it. I just saw the the billboard, but
yeah, I had to know what that is.
That's very seems fitting for that place. Yeah, there's a lot more involved than I thought.
That's an experience where you go and then they shoot your dog in the head.
Oh no, really?
And then you kill everybody who did that and their family.
So you are John Wick? It's like the POV experience?
I don't know if that's what it says. They make you bring your dog. I have no idea what that experience is. But we didn't do that. We did Universal's Horror Unleashed. We were invited by Universal, so just want to say that up top, for what was called their blue carpet event. Blood red carpet event. Blood red carpet event. There's a variety of of Universal bigwigs and celebs there that was pretty cool. I saw Greg Nicotero there, a very famous horror director and just collaborator, not with me, but just with the horror industry at large. We saw John Murdy there, the big guy.
John Murdy was there. Mark Woodbury was there.
Mark Woodbury was there as well. If you don't know, John Murdy, creative director of all Halloween Horror Nights, and then Mark Woodbury, chairman CEO of Universal Parks and Experiences, Resorts and Experiences?
Destinations and Experiences, excuse me. But yes, they were all there, as we were. We had a couple other friends of the pod were there, you know. Mammoth Club was there.
Yeah, Mammoth Club was there, Mouse Vibes. And then, how should we go about this? Should we say the things we liked and then say the things we didn't like?
Yeah, or we just walk through
how it went.
Yeah.
So we get there. We did the red carpet, which, you know, I think there was like a little step and repeat area where you could take pictures. Byron and I did not do that. We just walked straight in.
Well, I don't even know if we were allowed to do because it seemed like a very professional setup where they had almost like in the spirit of like that E-Weekly kind of like
there was like
interview red carpet.
Yeah, so they had it separated out into like I think a couple different groups. There was media, there was content creator, and then there was VIP.
Supposedly those were the three tiers.
And I think media and content creator, we were for the most part together. And then there was the VIP group, which was probably the aforementioned folks I was talking about, like the Woodburys of the world, and then all Universal execs and employees, it seemed like. I would say, if we're going to analyze it through that lens, I would say we got what would be, I suppose, a proxy for what the general public would experience if they were to go to this event?
Yes and no. I think we'll get more into that later, because I have talked with people who have done it as general public.
Yeah.
To put it simply, they had a bit of a different experience than we did.
In a good way or a bad way?
Surprisingly enough, in a good way for them.
I would think so.
Yes.
Because, I actually personally like when you experience something for the first time and you have to experience it like you would, like stand in standby, figure out like the logistics of the park. Like that is something I'm actually a big fan of. But I don't know if that was what they set out to do, but
this one was a little different.
It was an interesting hybrid.
If I'm speaking of like the not Horror Unleashed, but the specific event, the Blood Red Carpet event that we attended.
Yeah.
obviously a very different experience from like say Epic Universe, just based on it's not a theme park. And but I think just kind of the way it was organized and set up was a bit different than that format.
Yeah, well, we could just walk through like the timeline then. So we got there at 7.
Yeah, just after 7, we had taken a bus over from. We were staying at the Strip on the Strip.
Yeah, and Universal was nice enough to put everybody up at a hotel on the Strip, and then they bussed us over to the event, which is about like what? How many minutes from the Strip?
I'd say like 10 minutes.
10 to 15 minutes.
It's pretty close,
depending on whether or not it's raining or there's a major accident that.
Oh well, that was a different story.
Crazy.
That was when we went to Omega Mart.
Yeah, but yeah, in case you're planning your trip and you're deciding you want to check out Horror Unleashed and you're wondering where you should stay, it's about a 10-15 minute drive from the Strip, but it is a drive.
If you are staying on the Strip, it's a very manageable Uber or Lyft.
Yeah, an Uber or a Lyft would be the way to go.
It's not, you're not going super out of your way to get this in. It's you could package it in with the rest of your typical Vegas offerings.
For perspective of where they put us up, I don't know if this was like because they have some sort of deal with the Aria. They put us up at the Aria, or if it was just because that's like a more of a straight shot in terms of getting to Area 15. I didn't clock that one.
I don't know exactly why. I didn't mind it. I thought it was
it's a really nice hotel.
That might have been my favorite Vegas hotel I've ever stayed in.
It was very nice. So they bussed us over there. We got there around 7. And then it was like a cocktail food hour, I would say, from like 7 to 8:15.
Oh my God. Maze first or drink? Drink. Huh? Drink?
And then around 8:15, they did like a speech.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Just want to close by saying it's all fear, all here, and it's here in Las Vegas. Have fun tonight.
Basically like kicking it off, doing the typical like grand opening speech. And then Jack the Clown, if you don't know who Jack the Clown is, one of the Halloween Horror Nights icons, started over in Florida, came on stage and said some Jack the Clown things.
I suggest you run.
He wouldn't stand a chance.
I'm not that familiar with Jack the Clown, so I don't have much to compare it to, but
I like him.
Yeah.
We had him for a little bit.
He's kind of like the main mascot of Horror Nights, right?
I would say so. He's one of the icons. Like I would say probably, if not the most popular, then one of the most popular icons when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights. But anyways, he came on stage and then kind of like introed a music dance number of sorts.
Yes.
He kind of turned into like a DJ. Not like he wasn't up there with the headphones and like behind a turntable.
Kind of like an MC.
Like an MC, yeah. Like Wolfman Jack back in the day for Knott's Berry Farm. He came out on stage and then they did a pretty funny little like classic Viva Las Vegas aesthetic dancers and like performance, and it kind of reminded me of the vibe that you get at the end of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You could play a little bit of that maybe.
You got to be careful of that because they're playing all copyrighted music.
Oh yeah, they're playing a lot of copyrighted music.
Well, we could definitely show video for the video version.
Yeah, we could show the video.
Talk over it. When this intro speech started by the Universal representative, we were over at the Boiler Room bar.
Yes.
Or not I think it's called the Boiler Bar or something like that.
The bar, by the way.
It's the main bar in the middle. There's a few bars at this in this complex.
It's the coolest one, though. It's the one you see when you enter the event. So, like, how it's all laid out is you basically enter through the bar/gift shop, essentially. The gift shop is to your left. The bar is, like, right in front of you and to your right. It's a very impressively themed bar in terms of scale and just the things they pull off. There's, like, a boiler inside there, very much like the one that looked in Nightmare on Elm Street kind of aesthetic.
This one's very large.
And it has the same color palette as all of that as well. Just like a nice red boiler room that actually comes to life at certain moments. I don't know what triggers those effects. I think it just is like a random kind of timer thing. But really cool. The drinks that we had were honestly really delicious.
My drink kicked ass.
And then they gave us like basically like, you know, finger food. So we weren't really able to review like the food that you would be, I guess, having. But like, you know, they had some like little bits of steak and like charcuterie and stuff. Yeah. Byron even said he saw Mark Woodbury going over to the charcuterie station.
Oh yes. He was next to me scoping out the charcuterie options.
Wasn't he like, no?
Yeah, I think he gave it a quick browse and then was like, okay. Oh, maybe he wanted to go get more steak. I don't know. The steak was tasty.
Woodbury didn't want any berries?
No berries. I don't think they offered any berries.
Just wood.
Well, technically his name's Woodbury with a U.
I see.
So I don't think berries are his forte.
I see.
But there's also that street corn, like a little cup of that street corn that was tasty.
That was delicious. And then we had a mac and cheese ball that was really good. Yeah, I mean the food and drink was good.
Yeah, it was more like finger foods for us as opposed to like getting like a full entree.
Sure. And then they had another bar that was like more in the middle of the event. That was, I think, I don't know if it was called the Blumhouse Room or the screening room.
Okay, so that is like a bar / I guess sit down like restaurant of sorts, or at least it's a dining option as well as a bar, and that is that Blumhouse themed room.
Yes.
This one compared to Boiler, not as themed, I'd say.
Not as themed,
It seemed more kind of like more of a pop-up vibe.
Yeah, like a ballroom hotel vibe.
Yeah, kind of like they could put a new installation in there whenever they want.
A flex space, if you will.
Yeah. And then there's a third bar, which I think is the final bar, which was, I think, the Jack's one.
Yeah. And we didn't even really go to that area.
We got a beer there. Toward the end of the event, we got that amazing encounter with the magician.
He was great. He did he did this crazy magic trick where he was able to put some sort of marking on my hand without touching my hand. It's gone now because I took a shower. Surprised. I was thinking about never showering again.
Yeah, we were both watching intently. I don't know how he did it.
It was crazy.
And he had a really good card trick afterward, too.
And then we went off and tried to get on some mazes. There's 4 mazes at this event that are open all year round. And, I think that's actually a pretty decent number of mazes for an all-year-round event, especially
100%.
Like when you go to Universal Studios Hollywood or Universal Studios Orlando. I don't know if they had one in Orlando, but I know in Universal Studios Hollywood there was almost always some sort of year-round haunted attraction. So for a while it was The Walking Dead. Before that, it was Universal Monsters of Horror. Or
that's right. Yeah, the House of Horrors or
House of Horrors. That's what it was called. And then I think there was even a brief time when it was Van Helsing.
Oh shit! I missed that one. That would have been fun.
So, but that wasn't as much a scare actor thing. That was more just walking through a spooky environment. So year-round events are not like a new thing as it pertains to Universal. It is a new thing in that it is a full-fledged event that is all tied together for haunted houses, bars, merchandise. I guess scare zones. I didn't think they felt like scare zones.
I guess the whole thing is supposed to be kind of a scare zone.
They had some roaming scare actors, but that's how I would describe it. So
that's the thing. It's very open and a little more. Everything's kind of more exposed. I don't know if it's like your eyes adjusting or whatnot, but it doesn't. It's not as like scary as walking through like a fog concentrated sort of scare zone.
No,
everything's like you see everyone approaching. Everyone's out. You're kind of in a social environment.
I would say it's a more social leaning environment. Yeah.
And I think they adapt by having less like ooga booga jump scares and more kind of trying to interact with people.
Most people don't understand the precision, the artistry of a well-placed incision, but I'm so glad you have that.
Seemed like a lot of these characters had backstories of sorts.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to what you would see at Darkmoor over at Epic Universe in terms of like the monsters and characters they have roaming around there. They interact with you. They're not there to like be, as Byron says, ooga booga you.
Yeah, that was Gus's term with the scary farm. They had people, I think, with like kind of lab coats. I think I saw. Like,
I did see
who were
that.
Supposed to be like the ones orchestrating like the operation of that. In a fun way, they do kind of try and stick to the Area 15 vibe.
Yeah.
Where I think they're basically like this. I got the gist of it being some sort of secret like warehouse facility where they're keeping all the horror
locked
like
up.
Icons and stuff and like trying to study and
I guess that would make sense.
Like
Horror Unleashed.
I'll have to double check that story. That's kind of the impression I got.
I mean, another thing too is we went into this pretty blind, purposely so, just to see how it would be to navigate it and if it would be like a coherent experience right now we're actually, if you're wondering why the sound sounds like this, we're actually on the road right now because we're driving back from Vegas. That'd be fun to.
Yeah, we probably should have prefaced this show with that. But,
yeah. For those of you who are listening to the audio,
those who are still tuned in,
we're in the car right now on the way back from the event. Just thought it would be fun to debrief everything as we're driving back home. But yeah, cool that you could just kind of hit the freeway and go and experience this. But anyways, we tried to get on our first maze. We went over to Scarecrow.
We attempted Scarecrow.
And then we went first over to Universal Monsters. And that maze was not open yet.
No, I don't know when all the mazes. It wasn't at the start of the event, though.
No, there was I don't know if this is how it typically is for the event, but it was a staggered release. And I think they did that so they could maybe concentrate the flow of people, but then I'm actually not quite sure why that was the case.
I hear it also has to do with the scare actors getting breaks. That's why like at certain times of this event, and I think this actually also goes for the general public, they'll close the maze down for a certain period of time to have the actors take a break or reset.
Yeah, but they also weren't even like opening at all at the same time.
No,
because we tried to the maze that was closest to us is the maze that's like right at the front, which is the Universal Monster maze. So we figured, okay, let's wrap up cocktail hour early and then we'll just walk over to this maze and try to get in. And then they informed us that it wasn't open yet, but Scarecrow was open, which is at the back of the event. So we went to Scarecrow, got in line, and then as we mentioned before, how they had it separated was it was media and content creators in the general public line, and then they had VIP badge holders in the VIP line, which I guess is going to be kind of like what your express lane would be, like express. If you're familiar with Universal nomenclature, then yeah, it's like your express lane. Normally, when you go to these events and you have the express lane and then you have the general public lane, I would say they probably let in like 10, 15 people from express and then to one from general, maybe?
Something like that. I don't know the exact amount. Oh, and by the way, I'm so sorry for interrupting right now. We are passing the rotting corpse of the Buffalo Bill Desperado roller coaster right now.
Yeah.
That is officially closed permanently.
Damn, I want to get on this thing.
It's done.
I know.
It's over. I never got to go on it. Apparently it was rough. But anyways, yeah, back to what you're saying. The ratio of, I'd say like 10 to 1 might be fair.
In a typical setting, yeah, I would say.
I'm sure they also change it similar to how they do with like Lightning Lane or what used to be Fast Pass for Disney, where it's depending on the ratio of people in the lines.
It's probably more akin to like, yeah, Lightning Lane Express. They're very similar in how they let people through.
Yeah, like so if like an express lane gets stacked up too much, then they might have to prioritize that more.
Welcome to California.
Oh, look at that.
Cool.
We're in California.
We're in California now. How about that? But anyways, for this event, I think it's because of this event. So I do want to stress that our experience was this event and maybe not what the actual year-round experience is like for the general public. We experienced what it would be like going to the blood red carpet event that was for media and for Universal execs and employees and friends and family and stuff like that. So our experience was I don't know what they were doing up there, but they just were, I don't know what the system was because they were not really staggering or letting people in from our line compared to the other line,
which was dedicated to VIP members.
But again, that is something that we are usually used to in terms of like,
totally.
When you stand in standby in the Lightning Lane, like, you're used to like, okay, they're going to stagger, they're going to let in like 10 to 15 like Lightning Lane.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, I get it.
And then you're going to let in one general. But in this particular case, in one of the experiences, we were at the front of the line for general, and we didn't move for about
almost half an hour.
I would say it was like, well, when we were at that front, it was probably like 15 minutes. Each of the lines that we stood in were about 30 to 45 minutes, which I think if you're used to like going to Halloween Horror Nights or Not Scary Farm, that's actually like pretty good.
No, that's great.
Honestly, like when you think about it, because like those lines could get pretty gnarly, like hour, 2 hours.
But again, this is a very different event. But ironically enough, from the people I've spoke to that have just gone as general, the average wait time would be usually like around 15 minutes or so.
And I think that probably has something to do with the staggering system that they were using here that was specific to this event, because Byron and I were at the front of the general line and we didn't move for 15 minutes. And this lady behind us had it. She just crashed out, and then like went up to the guy. And I don't recommend you do this to anybody that's working this event because they're just doing their job. But this lady had to crash out and was just like, I don't know what's going on. We haven't moved. We're just watching people go. We've literally not moved in 15 minutes. And then the guy had to explain, like, I'm sorry. Yeah, we just got to make sure everybody from the VIP line gets in, is what he said. But I'll let you in. And because he had to let her in, he then had to let Byron and I in because we were in front of her. And so we got in, and that was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre maze, actually, which I
thought it was Exorcist.
Oh, no, that was Exorcist.
Exorcist.
And that was our first maze that we actually got on.
Maze number 1.
It is pretty neat, and I don't think they do this as much at the Horror Night events in Orlando and Hollywood, but the queue area is themed.
Yeah, the queue area was themed. I actually thought we were in the maze already when we got in line for Exorcist. If you're familiar with that maze, it takes you kind of through the bazaar area that's at the beginning of the film, and that's the queue. So that was kind of cool.
And this is like for all 4 of those mazes.
They had a nice queue.
Your queue area it kind of looks like you're already in the maze, which is kind of neat.
But all that to say, we're just, I know this is a little all over the place, but we first went to Scarecrow. We got in line for that. We did not really move.
We didn't budge for a while.
For about 30 minutes, so then we left. And
we assumed that it was because they were doing some sort of film shoot or something to promo, so we thought, okay, maybe this is a bad time, let them do the film shoot.
Well, we saw them filming in there.
Yeah.
So we thought that was why the line was not moving. So we also remembered, we talked to the Exorcist people, not the scare actors, but the people working the line. And we were like, what time does this maze open? Because it was not advertised what time each of the mazes opened. So you were kind of just guessing. And so they told us that, it should be opening in like 10 minutes. So we were like, okay. So we had that in mind. And then we were like, you know what? Let's just go over to the Exorcist line because that maze just opened and we'll probably get a good spot in line. So we did that. That was about like a 45-minute wait, got to the front. As Byron said, we were there for a while, just kind of watching. Like we're just wondering. And then we just kind of realized that's going to be the thing for the night, that there's going to be this unknown staggering system for how people get into these mazes.
And once again, this is just for this event. From what I've heard, that's not the case for general. They don't even have express pass right now.
No, but they have a VIP pass.
They have the VIP pass, but I believe it's only the one that you have to pay like $2,700 for.
Yeah, I actually have the ticket prices right here.
It's like $2,750 and you get up to 6 people into that VIP package.
General admission is generally $69 a person. Nevada residents, $59 a person. There's a general admission, a limited access, which is $100, and that means you could go on the mazes more than once.
For the general, you get to do each maze one time.
Yes. $2,750 for a group of 6 people for the VIP experience package. It comes with priority entrance to the venue, enter all the houses via exclusive VIP lanes, the VIP dining experience, which is like a reserved table, VIP menu, bottle service, and up to $450 in food and beverage credit. And then you get to meet a scare actor. Sweet. That's pretty funny. But yeah, that is the VIP lane. I can't imagine that's going to be that full.
Well, that's the thing is I don't even know if that lane, because the way this queue works is it's kind of like a mirrored like 2 lanes that they use like theming to kind of divide.
Yeah.
To kind of create its own little like switchback.
Yeah.
Or to just a divider in between the 2 lines. And I think that kind of just helps consolidate people into that themed space. So I don't know if they're using that for just VIP. I doubt it because I just don't think enough people would be using it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean,
but for this particular night, they used it for VIP.
And I would say the ratio of people at the event was probably, I want to say 50% VIP, 50% the rest of the crowd. I would say maybe even maybe 60% VIP. It felt like there was more Universal folks there than there were folks like us.
You could tell based on who was in a blazer.
Yeah, who was in suits and who was in a shirt and shorts.
I will say the vibe overall was very much Horror Nights meets Country Club.
Yeah, it was Horror Nights corporate. It was like Horror Nights corporate, like a corporate party. It was the vibe. To the point where I was like, it feels interesting that we're here. But
it did feel like you kind of walked in on like friends and family night.
Yeah, and it was nice because I saw some of my friends that work at Universal too, and they seemed to be having a good time. But yeah, I think that was part of the reason why the staggering was so odd and why it was so hard to get on these mazes. So that is the logistics. That's just kind of an overall review of like where the mazes are located, how you get into these mazes, when do they open. It seems like they open maybe at different times.
Yeah, and then for general, like on a regular day, the hours are, I believe, 2 to 10 p.m. 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
2 p.m.?
Yes. 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. We could double check that, but I'm pretty sure on that one. And it's 5 days a week. Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, are the 2 days that it's not open.
Thursday through Monday, 2 to 10 p.m. Tuesday and Wednesday, it's closed, yes.
Which, by the way, how do you feel about this experience closing at 10 p.m. every night?
I think in Vegas, it's a smart thing to do because there's so much that goes on after 10 p.m. that you probably don't want to be inside of a maze. Like if you're looking at it from like a tourism perspective, right? And people are coming to Vegas, they're probably wanting to go to bars, nightclubs, shows, all that stuff is like around that time. They're probably not going to want to be inside of a warehouse at that moment. So if they want to get any chance of getting tourists in 2 to 10 p.m., that to me makes sense. Because it's not like Nevada residents are going to be consistently going to this.
Okay, but here's the thing, is I'd say this atmosphere kind of leaned heavy on serving as somewhat of a nightlife experience.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
considering they have 3 bars.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I don't know. I could see maybe where they were coming from, but yeah, no, that's a good point.
And considering it is horror, I don't know. And like when you go to the other horror nights, those are open till what, 1 a.m., maybe 2?
Yeah. I mean, another thing too is this is all indoor. It's all inside of a warehouse. That is actually really cool in the fact that you are just kind of shielded from the harsh Nevada weather, the heat. That was just bizarre.
And I do appreciate the extremely high ceiling.
Yeah, the extremely high ceiling, because it doesn't feel like
it's massive.
The room is huge. Try and zoom out to show you. That's not really a good video. That's a shit video. Good thing it's a podcast.
And it's just cool to see like something that's just going to run year round inside, like an indoor horror theme park. Like that's appealing to me. But in terms of logistics, yeah, they got some stuff to figure out. I don't know how much of what we experienced at this event is what it's going to be like for the general public. But if it is anything like what we experienced, there are going to be some folks that are upset, as evidenced by that lady's crash out in real time. But to her credit, she got us and a couple people behind her to go into the maze, into Texas Chainsaw, or into Exorcist. And yeah, if you're listening to this, I guess, salute for falling on the sword. Yeah, the logistics are going to be interesting, but anecdotally, Byron has mentioned that people are saying the lines are like 15 minutes, and if you zoom out even further, even what we waited, even though it was annoying just because of like the visual of just we aren't literally moving for 15 minutes at a time.
That has quite a bearing on
That's a mental effect. Whereas like, in a Halloween Horror Nights, yes, you're waiting like an hour, maybe 2 hours, but the line is somewhat crawling along. Like you could kind of feel you are in a line. And
you feel like things are progressing.
Yeah.
You feel like you're eventually being attended to.
Eventually, whereas like this, if you're like sitting for 15 minutes at a time, you're like, am I in the right line? But again, we don't know what it's going to be like when this thing gets in the full swing of things. Chime off in the comments if that what is your experience and if you've been. I guess we could just talk about the mazes just in general. Like, what did you think of them?
We finally get into Exorcist.
Yeah.
How do you go first?
All right.
We did this one, I believe, in Orlando.
Yeah.
We also did it, I believe, in Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood. It's where the La Llorona maze is usually, if my memory is right, but it might not be in terms of that like specific location. But we have done this maze a couple times before.
Yeah.
You know, it felt pretty low energy, if I'm being quite honest.
That's kind of a fair assessment. And once again, they were really making it a point to not have the Congo line effect happen. They'd wait almost a minute before letting another group of people in, no matter how small the group is.
Yeah, but I usually like that because then you have the room to yourself you're more susceptible to scares.
100%. That's like what I'm saying. And yet somehow we're going through that almost like a private experience, and yet I still didn't find it that scary or unnerving.
I don't know. I think maybe they need to get into their groove, but I will say that, yeah, it felt somewhat low energy going through this maze. And frankly, a lot of the mazes, how do I describe this? It felt like a more corporate product than even Halloween Horror Nights feels.
A silver lining is maybe for someone who's not familiar with going to these like big time horror events, it's a good gateway in.
I think so. I was curious about this because anybody who's gone through a year-round maze experience, like specifically the ones at Universal, even at Universal Studios Hollywood, like the aforementioned Walking Dead experience, you go through that, it's not going to have the same energy as a Halloween Horror Nights maze. Like there's not as many scare actors, and B, they're not as jacked on energy to go after you. And that's okay because it's not, you're at a day theme park, and they're not going to be going buck wild at 12 p.m. on a Tuesday. But like in this particular case, I was curious if this year-round 4 haunted house experience of Universal Horrors Unleashed, if it would have a similar feel. And I would say that it wasn't completely like those year-round experiences of the past, but it definitely wasn't like Halloween Horror Nights. It was like in the middle, I would say. So if you're going into this expecting it to be a full-blown like Halloween Horror Nights feel, both in scare actors, scare zones, atmosphere, it's not going to meet up to that. And I think I may have went into it with those expectations, so it did not hit that mark for me, which could have been an unfair way to view it, but that is how I went in.
I didn't think it was going to hit the level of energy that, say, Horror Nights was.
Yeah.
But when it came to these mazes, themselves, I expected there to be a little more energy. No, I agree with you on that. Or at least a little more unpredictability, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because how did you feel about the design of these mazes? Or let's just start with the Exorcist one that we... The
Exorcist, obviously the production design is immaculate.
Like the materials they use, the paint, like it doesn't look cheap.
No, that's like Halloween Horror Nights level quality in terms of like build. I mean, because these are mazes that have been at previous Halloween Horror Nights incarnations. So these mazes are pretty high quality. So when it comes to that, yes, it's going to be that. Universal pretty unmatched when it comes to the design and look of their mazes. But in terms of the actual scares, yeah, it was just light on... I don't know if there just wasn't as many scare actors, because Universal has their tried and true formula of how they scare you. Like they go into great detail on it, even in like their documentary Art of the Scare, where a lot of their scares are based off of misdirection. So you'll have like this show element or something in the room that draws your attention, and then they have a boo hole that is usually triggered by the scare actor themselves with a little foot trigger that will, it does that classic like thundered strike like noise, and then the strobe light, and they come at you from behind where after you've been distracted by this thing. So it does feel, there is a formulaic feel to how they do things, honestly, just in general. That has never really bothered me. I know it bothers some people, but in this particular event, it was light even on the formula.
Every boo hole, I'm like, there it is. I guess I'm going to make my way over there and have the thing happen.
You're all going to die.
as amazing as everything looked, especially in this Exorcist maze, there was just so many redundancies when it came from going from room to room.
Yeah.
It got kind of samey for me.
No, it did. And honestly, most of the mazes were kind of like that. I would say Exorcist, I would give it a 6 out of 10.
I think that's okay. I would maybe go 4 or 5.
I could maybe say 5.
Maybe it's saved by I do like, there is one good show scene. I don't need to spoil it, but it's pretty similar to the one I think they had in Orlando.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of the most unique rooms in that maze, especially when you consider, like you said, there's a lot of redundancies in that maze. And then the next maze we went into was Scarecrow the Reaping. This has been a fan favorite. I actually had never been able to go in Scarecrow because this was in Orlando, and we're not in Orlando. So I was excited to go into this one.
I think the queue area was very pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who listens to this pod knows I love a good exterior.
It's a great
exterior for interior. Yeah, it's really nice.
You're kind of in the middle of like a cornfield of sorts.
Yeah, you're waiting outside.
There's like a big truck in the middle. It's a really well themed queue area. They have wind that blows through it on certain time intervals. The atmosphere of it was terrific. It almost kind of reminded me of like Twister, you're in a Twister film. They had it wasn't like really a scare actor, but they had a guy with like a backstory that approached me.
How you doing, good sir?
I worked this land until my hands bled dust.
So that was interesting and neat. So didn't have an issue with the queue.
No, and I actually thought this maze was pretty decent.
This was by far my favorite maze at this event.
Yes, I think from the design and the story, it was probably my favorite. I still thought it felt a little light on the scares.
That's what it like. Once again, low energy when it came to the actual like pop out scares.
Yeah, and that's not like, and I don't want to be like shitting on scare actors. Like that's not exactly what we're saying when we're saying low energy. It's just they're not put in situations to succeed. I felt like, and there's not enough of them. So that's, I get it. I guess is what I'm saying. But
I thought layout of the maze was cool. Unlike the Exorcist one, it felt like it evolved to something. Like you were going on an adventure.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, I'm in another bedroom. Oh, yes. Wow, another bedroom. I'm going to go up to the stairs now to go to this bedroom? No. This one, the scale of it felt like it was getting bigger and like, just, I thought the like final act of this, it felt like I was going on an adventure. I loved it.
I will say there's also something that's interesting to the challenge of Universal already has a lot of work cut out for them in the sense of, well, it's funny because I think this is actually their greatest asset. It's also maybe like their greatest crutch too, because they're so reliant on IP for their mazes, and IP being like movies or video games or whatever. There is a certain spine of storytelling that they have to follow. Like for instance, The Exorcist, that's a lot of rooms in a house. Like there's not really much you could do about that. Or back in the day when they did the Halloween maze, a lot of it's going to be the Myers house, and the room is going to you're going to see the same room over and over and over again. Whereas Scarecrow, this is an original maze, so they could get a little more varied in the locations and tell more of like a story, as opposed to a book report maze, which is,
totally
what some of these mazes feel like after a while, a book report maze.
And they just create more scale too.
Yes.
I thought the design team crushed it in terms of selling the idea that I was actually outside in a large cornfield.
And like in a remote cornfield. No, for sure. Like I said, design second to none. The scares, a lot to be desired in my opinion. But I would say this maze, I'd probably give this one a 7 out of 10.
I'm at a 7. Yeah.
Moving on to Texas Chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw, this is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So I will say that I come into it a little biased in the sense of like, even though there are parts of this that even feel samey, I'm so familiar with the story of that film, similar to Halloween, that I was stoked to be in it. But I could see if you weren't into Texas Chainsaw, it would feel kind of samey, but it was thrilling to me to see like some of my favorite scenes of the movie. The energy I felt in this one was the only maze throughout the night where I felt, okay, the scares are at least here for this one. For me. I don't know. How did you feel about this one?
Not really.
Ah, shit. All right, this way.
I didn't find it that scary. Occasionally, they'd rip the chainsaw, and that noise would maybe give me like a little jump. But then, like,
occasionally they turn that chainsaw on, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's a fucking chainsaw!" Holy shit!
How many Leatherfaces or no? Wait, is it Leatherface?
Leatherface, yeah.
Yeah. How many times do I have to see Leatherface pop out and be holding a chainsaw over his head?
Yeah, the thing
it happened like 10 times.
I find that visage very scary. Like Leatherface has always scared me. So every time I saw him with the chainsaw, I'd always be like, "Ah, Jesus Christ, fucking Leatherface!" Like, and that I think in general made it work a little bit more, just because the monster itself is so scary. Whereas like Scarecrow or Exorcist, these weren't objectively scary looking things to me. I wouldn't say that these scares themselves were more creative in Texas Chainsaw. I would just say that there was at least more of them. So I appreciated that. But the design, yeah, definitely not as good as Scarecrow the Reaping.
I will say there's higher energy in this maze.
This one's substantially better, though, already.
This had the highest energy of the night. So for that, I would probably give this one a 7.
I'm at a 6. I like Scarecrow more.
Honestly, I'm going to go back. Exorcist, I think you're right. That's more of a 5. I
think it's a 5 for Exorcist.
I think the longer I get away from it, the more it drops in my mind.
It's kind of weird because when I went to The Exorcist, when we did The Exorcist one in Orlando, I remember being genuinely scared.
I did too, and I think that's also interesting because I'm pretty sure it's the same layout. And then the last maze, the Universal Monsters maze, we tried to get on this maze 3 separate times. Once it was closed. The second time, we just weren't moving, and we were scared that we were going to run out of time to get on other mazes, because I believe at that point, Texas had a shorter wait, so we were like, let's head over to Texas. We'll do Texas, we'll come back and do Universal Monsters. And then when we came back, it was closed again. So
I attempted standing in line for a bit. We actually, you volunteered to go get us a couple beers.
Yeah, because some line beers.
Because we knew at this point, like, all right,
we gotta wait.
We know we gotta. This is gonna be a long wait. Like, let's enjoy beers. And Ryan goes to get beers. I didn't budge an inch for like the 10 minutes or so that you went off to go get those drinks, and only to get a text from Ryan that said, "Hey, they don't let any food or drinks into this line." As a matter of fact, I think you tried to get popcorn into a maze too, and couldn't do that.
Well, not even the maze. I was just like...
sorry, not the maze, the queue.
Yeah, so they were handing out popcorn. So they handed me a popcorn, and then I walked maybe like 50 feet more to get in line for this maze. And they're like, "Oh, you can't bring that popcorn into the maze." And I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to eat it in a line." And they were like, "Oh, you can't bring it into the line either." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And I had just forgotten about that. And then when I went to go get a line beer for Byron and I, because we knew we were going to be in that Universal Monsters line for probably 45 minutes, they said no drinks in the line. So I was like, they're like, "You'll have to either pour them out or chug them or whatever." So I was like, all right.
I threw up the white flag and I walked out, and we had our beers outside. And
yeah. And then we went to Texas, I believe. And then Texas.
But when we circled back to Monsters later, then it was closed.
So we weren't able to actually get on Monsters.
And then when we checked a final time near the end of the event, because the event ended at 11 p.m. and like around 10:30 or so, we were on the way out and we took a peek because we're like, I know if it's short enough, let's just make it in. And the line was pretty long, and it was going to be... I don't even know if we would have they would have even taken us, honestly. I mean,
if they take people past 11, we would have made it. But if they don't take people past 11, there's no way we would have gotten it.
Yeah. But it looked like, just judging off not budging in that line for like 10 straight minutes, not even an inch, and seeing that the line had gotten progressively longer.
Yeah.
It wasn't looking good. So we kind of... I don't know, we kind of had to cut our losses on the Monsters one.
Well, I mean, we heard from friends who had went through that it was more fun than scary.
That is true.
And, that's kind of stays within, like, the...
Classic Monsters.
There's a goofiness to them. So, I was sad I couldn't go through that. Especially because that was the one where I'd be like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get scared in this one anyway, but I'll enjoy seeing Big Frank.
And I will say, the queue got me excited for it.
Me too, yeah.
It's a well-themed queue.
You're going through, like, a crypt?
Yeah, they have like kind of like a Van Helsing sort of crest sort of thingy.
Yeah.
Like on a window, and they have all the classic monsters kind of like sculpted. Like head sculptures?
I'm sure it was a very well-designed maze, and if you like Universal Monsters, it would be fun, as our friends had told us. So we'll have to check that one out, I guess, the next time we come back. But yeah, so we can't really rate that one, I would say. But I guess just overall, what are your thoughts?
It's hard to like really put my finger on what this is right now.
I agree.
If you're talking like whether or not it's like a great experience or whether or not you think it'll be successful from like a business standpoint, I think those are two different things.
What do you think of the event overall? How did you think it was executed? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it?
To put it simply, I feel like when it comes to scares, it's going to be a very tamed down version of Horror Nights. I don't think anyone should go in expecting Horror Nights energy when they go to this event.
I think that's fair.
If you are trying to do something fun and social and be in a well-themed environment to have some food and drinks with kind of the, I guess, the addition of some mazes to do for fun.
It's funny to call it addition because they're so well done in terms of like design.
I know.
And
you know what? I think for a lot of people, especially people that are not very familiar with going to big scare events, this will wet your whistle.
They'll be. I think they'll actually probably get pretty scared by some of these. Yeah.
Yeah, or at the very least, kind of get hooked.
Yes.
And realize, oh, it's not like this isn't too bad. It's actually pretty fun.
And I wonder if that's the strategy. If it's like this is the existence of this is just to make a little money, but also in terms of like the brand, getting people excited about Horror Nights in general, so that when Horror Nights comes around. Oh, I've done the year-round one. Now I want to do the big one, like the actual big event. That might be their strategy.
It could be a gateway tactic because once again, they have to kind of cater to a demographic of people who maybe have never done Horror Nights or not even into that.
Yeah.
But from a business standpoint, I think a lot of it is going to be dependent on the success of Las Vegas itself. I don't think when they started, when they greenlit this a couple of years ago, I don't know if they predicted that Las Vegas tourism would be on the decline that it is on right now.
Yeah.
That could have a bearing on its success, really.
I mean, I think a lot of it's going to come down to word of mouth advertising, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to what are they going to put into the event. They'll get out as much as they put in, and in terms of like the build, it's incredible, but in terms of like the living resources, like the scare actors, the people inside of it, I think they're going to need to do a little bit more for it to have any sort of like longevity. And that's tough because like I could see how that would be a big, like money down the drain in a lot of ways. And there's no shows too. There's that. I thought that was interesting.
They do an occasional show with Jack the Clown, like every hour or two, I think, for the general public. I think they ran it a couple times during our event. They have these contestants that perform, and based on their performance, can get voted to get like killed or spared, if that makes sense.
But I'm talking about a classic like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or the Jabberwockies, or like The Purge, like they had over Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, or Slaughter World when they had that. Like you would think that a Vegas venue, a place known for shows, they would have a show. Like a nice, and you could get really raunchy with that show because it's Vegas.
True.
Like, I know people were even like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, that got in trouble over in Orlando. I don't know if that would be the case over here in Vegas, because you're in Vegas. What do you expect?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a missed opportunity. But once again, it's about what they're willing to put into it. And I could see a show being quite expensive. So
yeah, because even the main stage is kind of out in open space.
Yes.
It kind of has this is a really, I don't want to get have this completely taken the wrong way, but it kind of has like a brewery layout.
It does.
In a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yes, it's well themed, but it's all kind of there in front of you, kind of open and exposed and kind of chill.
Yeah, I think it's a little more open than it should be. And because like
no isolated theater to go see a show. It's
no, but also like in terms of just the environment, like very open. I think that's also why it's light on the scares in between the mazes, because there's nowhere for these scare actors to hide. There's not really a lot of fog. It's kind of open. I think they need to adjust and tinker with that.
And there's definitely elements of the space that do not feel very permanent.
No,
it's almost like a, hey, just in case, we can just pack this up.
No, it's like, I think it's like you were saying, it feels a lot like if a themed bar experience, like a big giant themed bar experience that happens to have these mazes that, you know, I could see if that's the experience you're looking for, this is going to really deliver for you. And if you're looking for a Halloween Horror Nights experience, it's not going to deliver. I think that's the most simple way I could put it. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I do think that over time, the one issue that is the most prevalent for me is there is an identity issue, I think, with this event. Like how it's marketing itself. I think it's marketing itself as like a Halloween Horror Nights-esque experience.
Very grim, hard-hitting.
And I don't think it's that.
And you get in there and it's kind of like a horror-themed hangout area.
It's like a horror-themed party.
Yes.
And I think if
that's the case, could maybe go a little heavier on the party.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they need to kind of choose a lane. They're like, do they want it to be more Halloween Horror Nights, or do they want it to be more like
a
themed club bar experience? They could go either way, but I do think they need to eventually pick a lane and then go hard on that lane. Because like this kind of thing, you kind of need to. There has to be some sort of commitment there, and I don't feel like it's there at this moment. I'm not sure who this is for right now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like they're going so down the middle because they're trying to make it appeal to as many people as possible. But in doing so, in my opinion, they maybe aren't appealing to anybody at this moment.
I mean,
I know that sounds kind of scathing.
Right? We'll have to see how because you also have to keep in mind that once again, we had the benefit of the media, and it was amazing that we got to have these, they have great beverages here. If there's like one of the big highlights, I think, is
no, they were delicious.
The bars are cool and they have very good beverages, but for the general public, you're going to be paying roughly $19 a drink.
Yeah.
And if you add that on top of your $70 ticket, I mean, how long do you think an average person should spend at Horror Unleashed?
That's another thing, is because it feels like a bar party environment. I can't imagine. Okay, like let's just walk through the average person coming into this. They're like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Let's get a drink. Oh, 20.
Which is our energy when we first walked in and sat down at that boiler bar.
Yeah.
We were
stoked.
Yeah, we were amped.
It was unreal, dude. I loved it.
$20 for a drink. Okay, whatever. Let's go to try to get into these mazes. Which ones are open? What's the line situation? Wait, what is going? Like, it's not. The logistics of how the event flows are not very clear, I feel like. Any average person that goes to this, that like maybe sees like the billboards and like, oh, go check that out. Like when people check out a Vegas experience, like for instance, when we went to Omega Mart, they're thinking like, oh, how long am I going to be spending at this? Like 2 hours, 3 hours? I think the average person with that mindset of like, I'm going to go in this and do this for 2-3 hours, I don't know if they're going to have the best time, just because I don't know how many mazes they're going to be able to get on. I know they're going to be spending money on drinks. I could be wrong. Again, you have to note the person who's telling you this is me. My bias is I love Halloween Horror Nights. I love Not Scary Farm. I love any sort of haunt event. I live for this shit. I used to build mazes in my front yard to have people in my neighborhood go through them on trick-or-treating night for Halloween. So like this has very much been a part of my life for my whole life. So I'm coming into this with a heavy haunt mindset of this is something that is like my Super Bowl, and I'm comparing it against that. And when I am, it just doesn't measure up to that. And that's measuring up to their own product in terms of Halloween Horror Nights. It could get there, I think, but I think there is some tinkering that needs to be done. But I don't think the event is a bad event or a failure from that perspective. I think the
casuals are going to like it more, dude.
I think so. I think maybe I'm just seeing it too much as like a super fan of Hans, and I'm not seeing it like a general public person.
I couldn't help but feel throughout this entire event that we would have had more fun going as like just a regular general ticket experience.
Yeah, with a group of friends.
And once again, yeah, it's the energy around you too.
Yeah.
I think we were kind of, I don't want to say set up for failure, but it was a very subdued energy. It was
a corporate energy. There was a lot of people like in suits there. It was like I said, 50 to 60% of the people there were probably from Universal because they were in suits. Mm-hmm. And like, you know.
And once we went to like, you know, the Epic Universe, that's kind of a similar, it's a big media preview and stuff like that. But there was just so much more energy.
Well, I mean,
I guess it makes sense. The whole damn theme park.
But. Yeah, but the Epic Universe, the ratio was like 10% suits, 90% people who live for the shit and they're there.
True.
And also, people in suits isn't as off-putting in a theme park environment as it is in a scare environment, where it's like, wait, am I at a corporate party right? Like,
yeah, I want that wild, grungy energy.
No,
right?
Yeah, and I think we weren't done any favors by being in that energy, because it did have, I mean, I'm trying to go another word, but it had kind of like a soulless feel, to be honest. So I am eager to try this again, as just buying, you know, just getting a ticket, going with friends, and seeing what that's like.
Ultimately, you have to take it as a well-themed kind of super lounge or bar.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Because, like,
really it is... Think about it, like the main, like the epicenter of this whole place is a bar.
Yeah.
Everything kind of centers around the three bars, and then...
Yeah, the mazes feel like a tack-on, and the bars feel like the main attraction, and I wish it would have been the inverse. And maybe that's not how money is made.
There's no...
I don't know.
The thing, you know what, it feels like there's no sense of discovery or wonder when you are in the middle of this.
I agree.
When you're not in a queued area, there is... I mean, we might have to like do either an FYI pod or an episode or something on Omega Mart, which is also at Area 15 that we also did this week. Because that... I don't know why I felt like there'd be like a similar level of like exploration, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there was
in Horror Unleashed, and that was not the case.
You said something last night that has been ringing in my head. I think you said something along the lines of like, it's clear that the people who made this event did not have the people who care about this event the most in mind. But what's weird to me is they're marketing it to that target. Like people like me. So that's where I think there's a bit of confusion in terms of the identity. Overall, it's still it's a well put together event. It's just like I don't know exactly what it is at this moment and who it's for, but I think they can figure those things out.
Those hours still kind of confuse me, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very curious to what all of you guys have to say. So if any of you have been to the event, I'd love your honest take on it. Obviously, we came here with a media pass, and you know, despite that, we're being I feel pretty brutally honest right now.
I also feel like I'm almost like gaslighting myself, where I'm like thinking like, are we just too spoiled? Like, have we just spent all these years going to these like incredible horror events that,
like Halloween Horror Nights, not
like,
Scary Farm.
We put this to like a level of expectation that just could not be met.
Well, I don't know if that's an unfair expectation though, because again, they're marketing it like that, and it's
Universal Horror,
and it's from the same people who make Halloween Horror Nights. So, like, I think having the expectation of like, okay, this is going to be Halloween Horror Nights level is not.
Yeah, they throw Jack on the billboard and everything.
It's not an unfair one. I think that's a fair thing to go into, and then you go in there, and you're right. I think it is much more centered around the bar. It's not as much about the exploration of the park like Halloween Horror Nights is. The mazes are not the main attraction, it feels like. They're kind of like, they're just there. Like, I think they could make those more the star somehow.
Yeah.
Even like finding these mazes, like the marquee of them, it was tough to find them.
I don't mind that recent attractions have kind of taken the, hey, we don't want this massive, obvious marquee.
Sure,
in front of you. I do like some sense of discovery of, like I found this thing. What's behind this door?
Yeah, but that's usually like you're talking about like Rise of the Resistance. That's like a hidden marquee in a land that's highly themed after a certain story it's trying to tell. If the story that this place is trying to tell is that this is a warehouse that has bars and it's hard to find the entrance to these mazes, that's not because it's blending into the environment of the story. That's because they're not making this stand out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I buy that, to be honest.
And all those entrances are kind of at the forefront of, I guess, the perimeter.
Yeah,
of the space.
I just feel like they could recenter on the scares and make the mazes more the star. And if not, then go hard the other direction. Again, I think there is a good event in here. And at face value, I do think a lot of the general public is going to like this. And they'll probably disagree with a lot of what we're saying.
I think locals are going to be very important for the success of this as well.
I mean, they have a Nevada ticket.
They have a Nevada ticket, but it is still, $59?
Yes.
So it is at a $10 discount. You get to do every maze once. I'm kind of concerned with how often locals will feel like they want to come.
Yeah.
Because, for example, let's say it was like a $10 entry.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to add the mazes on, you could do that for the other like $50 or $60. Then if I was a local, I would love to go get drinks more often.
No, that's actually an interesting thing, because I know we had talked about at Epic. We have heard the rumors that they are going to put turnstiles at the front of the rides and allow
the portals,
allow the general public to just go to Celestial Park, enjoy the food and the drink without having to pay to get in, and then you pay to get on the rides. I could see that actually being a very successful model for this place, where you could go to the bar for like a $10 cover. You go to any of the 3 bars. You can't get on the mazes. That's an extra fee. And that, in a weird way, might actually put the mazes more at the forefront, because it's like, it's a extra charge to do this. It must be a good thing. And at least, like, there's more, I guess, crowd flow towards those places. I don't know. But again, we're evaluating this through the lens of the blood red carpet event. We didn't go to the general public event. If you've been as a general public attendee and you have thoughts that differ from us, would love to hear them in the comments. Or if you kind of agree with us, would also love to hear what that in the comments, because I came away from this genuinely kind of just puzzled.
I think that's fair.
I'm puzzled right now. I don't know if that's a bad or a good thing.
There's a Chicago location on the horizon.
Interesting.
I don't know how that will go. Once again, only time will tell. Maybe depending on the success of this, if it is successful, then I don't know, things can change. Whenever I think regional experience in Chicago, I always have flashbacks to Disney Quest.
Yeah.
And we know that did not work out. This is obviously a very different thing.
Yeah.
We're leaving with more questions than answers.
Do you want to go back? Do you want to go again?
I can't make it a priority for Vegas.
Yeah, I guess if you're going with friends and family, and you're like, would you be like, hey, we should go check this out here? Like, try to get your group to go.
If you're already out in Vegas, totally. Yeah. But I don't think I'm getting friends and family like, hey, we're going out to Vegas for this Horror Unleashed. I don't think it's quite there for me.
I mean, even put it into this perspective. When we go with our group of friends, like if we were to go to Vegas, would we be like, hey, we should go take some time out of the day to go to this? Do you reel it?
I 100% would, because I don't like a lot of the Vegas stuff. I don't gamble.
Yeah, that's
I'm not into like the club stuff. So I would happily go back to this. But once again, that could be a hard sell to get people to pay $70 before even buying your drinks.
I think right now, I don't think I could sell the group on going in good faith, knowing, because I only like taking a group to a place, like if you're in an area and then there's some sort of offshoot attraction, I only like selling that if I know it delivers and it's a good time and people aren't going to be mad at me for like, why did I waste my time? And at this point in its current incarnation, I don't know if I could sell it in good faith, but I will say that if it's just me, I would definitely go back. But I'm a psycho.
Yeah. And I got to do the monsters. We got to do the monsters maze.
We do got to do the monsters maze.
And I do hear that the wait times, ironically, are usually shorter if you just go during the day, general public. So we'll see if that holds. Another thing, Vegas prices in general for anything in Vegas are
crazy.
Extremely inflated.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I don't think that the price of this is that absurd, to be honest. Once again, I think when the bars are kind of the centerpiece of your experience, or how they've laid it out in the space.
Yeah.
And knowing that those go for about $20 a pop, if you are going to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that tally is going to fly up. But then I don't know if that's just part of the Vegas experience. And we'll see how it goes.
Speaking of bars, it's time for us to close that tab. I think it's closing time here, folks. That does it for this episode of For Your Amusement. Thank you all for watching or listening. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching on youtube.com/@FYAPod. Or if you're listening, subscribe and rate the podcast 5 stars. And you could consider supporting us by going over to FYAPod.com to join our fourth wall, which is another version of Patreon. You'll get up to 3 monthly bonus shows, as well as ad-free main episodes and early releases in some cases on vlogs.
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a vlog on this one.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, that does it for us. Follow the pod at FYAPod on all the socials. I'm at Ryan Bergara. Byron's at Byron Marin. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for spending your time with us, and we will see you all on the next ride.